Retired United States Army Staff Sergeant Travis Mills of the 82nd Airborne is a recalibrated warrior, motivational speaker, actor, author, and an advocate for veterans and amputees. Despite losing portions of both arms and legs from an IED while on active duty in Afghanistan, Travis now continues to overcome life's challenges, breaking physical barriers and defying odds, living by his motto, never give up, never quit. What made you want to go into the United States Army?
Well, I was trying the college route out. Didn't really enjoy college that much. I realized that I was only there for the football team, and then football ended, and I thought, wow, this isn't really working out for me. So I went back to my mom and dad's house. I left my own apartment, and then my mom and dad had like these rules I never had when I was at my first semester of college, and I was like, nah, we're done here, and I'm gonna try something new. So I went and talked recruiting station. The Army was the best fit for what I was looking for. And then I signed up and shipped out in March of '06. And, it was actually fairly, I think within 2 weeks I was at the recruiting station. And then 2 weeks later I was in basic training.
Wow.
I just wanted something exciting, different and new. And, I just, at that time in my life, being 18 years old, I was kind of just burned out on school, and I wasn't good at focusing. And, I always thought I'd go back to school, and luckily the Army would give me the ability to have free college basically after my service. So I thought that's a win-win for everybody.
I think that, yeah, of course. So you participated and served on a lot of different Afghanistan tours. What was your role in these tours, or just and being,
Yeah. So my job was infantry. I was airborne infantry soldier. So I was trained to jump out of airplanes. Like, you ever watch the show Band of Brothers? Or like, it doesn't matter. It's a great show, and HBO series. Tom Hanks does. It's about World War II and these guys that were sky soldiers. It doesn't matter. Great series, in my opinion. But I like war movies and things like that, and it's based off all true stories with reenacting all this stuff. So, anyways, I was an infantry guy. So I was light infantry. I was basically a door kicker. It's what I wanted to do. I had options to do whatever job in the military I wanted, and I chose that. And on my first deployment, I protected a colonel. So basically like a security guy. I was his personal gunner for 6 months. Then I was a truck commander. So I had my own Humvee that I signed for. And we drove on all the missions and went out and things like that. My second deployment, I was a team leader and then squad leader. So I had 8 guys essentially I took care of and looked after. And then my third deployment, I was the senior squad leader. So if you think about a company structure, you have like the enlisted side. You have the platoon sergeant, which is under the first sergeant, and then under the platoon sergeant, it was me. So at 24 years old, I was the highest ranking, or third highest ranking, like, guy in my platoon. So that was pretty cool. But I was in charge of the heavy weapons. So if you ever watch those movies where they got the big machine guns, I was in charge of the 2 teams of machine gunners. So, we kind of owned the battle space, if you will. And I enjoyed it. I just had one bad day at work, my third deployment.
Yeah, so we'll get into it. But so on your third tour, your world changed. So what exactly happened, and kind of what was the recovery process, and then coming back to the United States?
Yeah, so my third tour, every day was like a huge firefight. It seemed like a lot of combat, a lot of action, and we got a phone call from a village elder. They need some help in the village. We normally did that on April 10th, 2012. And we said, yep, we'll be out. We strapped our gear on. We went out. We swept the ground like normal. We marked it all clear. And I took my backpack off, about 120-pound backpack, just full of ammo, water, food, things like that. And I set it on the ground, and a bomb was underneath my backpack. And it hit the ground, and it detonated a roadside bomb, or IED. And it ripped through me pretty good. It took my right arm, right leg off automatically. It took my left leg through, if you imagine left ankle bone touching your left thigh type deal. And then my wrist was blown out at this moment, like right in this area. And I still used my thumb and middle finger. and I hit the ground on my face. I rolled over and saw the aftermath. And my medic, Dan Bateson, ran up to me, work on me. And I told him, don't worry about it. Go save my guys. Because I had 2 guys yelling for the medic. And I thought, unfortunately, I've seen guys go for what I thought was a lot less injury. And I thought, there's no reason to work on me when I'm going to fade out quick. And he ignored that, put tourniquets on me. My platoon sergeant, Sergeant Hambright, put tourniquets on my other side. So they put them on all 4 limbs within like 20 seconds and cinched it real tight and stopped the bleeding, which is crazy. After that, they're working on me out. I don't really know what to do with myself, but I just keep calm. And I realize that no matter what I do, nothing is going to change the situation. So freaking out is not an option, and panicking. So I actually radioed my lieutenant on my trucker mic, they call it. I have a mic on my chest, and I reached up to it and clicked the button. I said, hey, 6, this is 4. I got guys injured. I need your medic with mine. Then my lieutenant, Lieutenant Lewis, was like, yep, we'll be over there. And then Doc Voice comes over, works on the other 2 guys. Then they work on me all together, both medics. They get me on a helicopter, and then I fly to the hospital. And then on the hospital, I guess in the hospital, I was running down the hallway. I wasn't running. They were running me down the hallway on a gurney or stretcher or whatever. And I kept trying to sit up, and they kept pushing me down. And finally, about the 3rd or 4th or maybe 5th time I sat up, the nurse pushed me down. I told her, quit touching me. I'm fine. Like, leave me alone. I got to get back to my guys. And she's like, I don't know how you're still awake right now, but you need to go to sleep. And then they medically sedated me. And the last thing I looked at that nurse and I said, my little girl, I'm never going to see her again, because my daughter, Chloe, at the time was only 6 months old. And I realized that I might not wake back up from this.
So Chloe is your 3-year-old, or
No, that's my 9-year-old.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I'm still, with timing and everything. Okay.
Oh yeah, Chloe's my 9-year-old. But at the time she was 6 months old, and I first was injured, and then they knocked me out and took me into surgery. And then for 14 hours straight, like 9 doctors and 7 nurses worked on me around the clock, which is impressive. 2 nurses took, turns pumping air in and out of my lungs to keep me alive. You see in the shows where they pump the bag. They did that for 9 hours straight, taking turns, 2 of them. I was given over 400 units of blood, which was the most blood ever given. And my blood type, it actually changed from A positive to universal. It's back to A positive now. My body reset it. But at the time, they were donating blood directly out of people because they ran out of blood in the blood bank. So really, really crazy time. This all happened. After 14 hours, I guess they had me critical but stable in a way, and then 2 days later, they flew me to Bagram, Afghanistan. When they took me into Bagram, I was a triple amputee. My right arm, right leg, and left leg were gone, but my left arm was still there. They took me in for like a washout and checked my wounds and injuries. And when they opened up my injuries on my left arm, they realized the skin had necrotized, which means the skin had died essentially. And they cut my left hand off. And then I became a quadruple amputee. And then 2 days after that, I was in Landstuhl, Germany with my brother-in-law, who was in the Army as well. That he flew in to Kandahar, to Bagram, to Landstuhl with me. And when I woke up, he was the only one in the room. I asked him about my shoulders, and he told me. And then I said, am I paralyzed? And he said, no. And then I asked him again. He told me, you don't got to lie to me, because I can't feel my fingers and toes. And he said, man, you're not paralyzed, but you don't have them anymore. And that's how he broke it to me. And then for 3 hours, I literally ignored everybody. The doctors and nurses and Josh all asked questions and all tried to talk to me at different times. And I just ignored them. And I had my own questions, right? Like we all do. Like, am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong in this world to deserve this? How can I be a husband and a father? I had that real Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan moment. Why didn't I just die? Like I'm supposed to be on the field with my men dying. Like this is not the life I would choose. I'm just gonna be a burden on everybody now. All these thoughts are rushing around. And finally, after 3 hours, Josh broke the silence and realized like he had to convince me that it was time to call my parents and my wife. He was like, hey, look, you got to. And I said, fine, I will. So I called my wife, and the first thing I told her was, hey, what's up? Fine. Love you, bye. Like I didn't want to deal with it, right? Like who wants to have that conversation? And then I called my parents, and it was about the same thing. And before I hung up, my mom said, happy birthday, because on April 14th, when I did call them, it was my 25th birthday that day. So, I basically woke up at 25 to find out I had no arms and legs. But 3 days after that, I made it to Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland. As they rushed me in, my wife came up to me and before she could really talk to me, they gave her a clipboard and like, hey, Mrs. Mills' right leg ripped open, his sutures have split, and we have to amputate 2 inches off his right leg. And you have to sign this or he'll bleed out and die. So she signed the clipboard, which is kind of a crazy thing. If you think like being 23 years old and having your husband, who was 6'3", 250 pounds, lift the weights all the time, could do everything, roll up at like 3'6", 140 pounds, less than 110 pounds in that 7 days. And now she has to sign a paper to cut my leg off even higher. And she signed it. And then they took me to surgery. And the next day when I saw her, I looked at her and said, you don't have to do this. Like, you can take Chloe and the house and the cars that we had and the money saved up. Not that it was much, but what we had, I said, you can go. Like, you're free and clear. And financially, whatever I can do, I'll take care of you and Chloe. And she's like, that's not how this works. We'll get through this together. And then basically I just started my recovery at Walter Reed. I've really rambled for a long time. I apologize. So if you need to ask
no, it's
question,
all good. No, you're telling
right.
you're telling us, the most important part of your story. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, it's something you don't, just like with your situation or
right.
You don't want to have
to cope. And your way of life now is completely different. You probably, I don't want to say it's in a bad way, but you this isn't a good way, but you don't probably think twice about it. It's just a part of who you are. And
and I think once you get to that point in life, no matter what your difference is, right, life's going to be so much better. And
of course,
with me at Walter Reed, I started working out as soon as I could, and I was doing 1 hour occupational therapy, 1 hour physical therapy a day. Mm-hmm. And then I increased it to 2 to 3 to 4 until I was dodoing 4 of each and 8 hours a day. And my whole recovery was my job now. Mm-hmm. And I learned how to do a lot of cool things. 5 weeks into my injury, I had an arm for the first time. So I could like feed myself. I can do cool tricks with it. It doesn't even hurt. You think it would, but it don't. And then I have, I had the ability to learn how to walk again at like 8, basically just shy of 2 months. I was like up and walking on short legs again. And it wasn't always easy. It was definitely a big struggle and it was painful and it wasn't fun. But, the worst part of my recovery, and I'm very open about it, was actually the weekends. I hated the weekends because I couldn't go to the hospital and get better. And I couldn't go because I had my own apartment there with my wife and Chloe and Craig, my father-in-law. And he like retired early, moving to help us with our daughter and my recovery process. But the worst part was the weekends. So I learned how to feed myself, dress myself, take a shower again by myself, use the restroom by myself. And it was a long process. And I kind of get lost in like when I glance, at it and give the overview, because I forget like it wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden I have a hand, now I'm walking. Like it was 19 months of recovery, and it was great. Walter Reed's a phenomenal place with some of the best physicians in the world and the best physical therapy and occupational therapy teams I could ask for. So yeah, it was wild, but I always tell people, and I usually keep it to the end of my presentations when I go into motivational speaking, but in the moment of the hospital, laying in the hospital bed and realizing this is going to be my life, I had your doubts, you have your anger and you have your issues, but then you need that support. And that's why I think it's great what you're doing here, because I had a guy walk into my room and basically joke around with me and say, hey, welcome to the club. And I was like, I don't want to be in your club. And he said, kind of late now, don't you think? Mm-hmm. And he said, my name's Todd Nicely. I'm a retired corporal from the Marine Corps. I'm the second ever quadruple amputee from sustaining injuries in the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And you're the fourth, and you're going to be fine. And there's, nothing that you can't do. This is going to take some time. And, without having him there as my person to motivate me, I'm not sure if I'd have been as motivated. I had my daughter, right? So like my daughter was my everything, still is, but having my daughter there to look at me and believe in me and want her dad to do well meant a lot. So I learned 2 life lessons pretty quick. And I know it sounds like Hollywood and like a movie scene, but the first thing I learned that no matter how many times I closed my eyes and I hoped and I wished and I prayed this wasn't my situation, this wasn't my reality. Every time I opened my eyes, I didn't go back in time. I didn't magically regrow my arms and legs. And this was the world that I was going to live in. So instead of dwelling on the past, I just reminisce it. I had 25 great years of arms and legs. And I've had, 8, almost 9 years now without. And it's been pretty incredible things that I've been able to do with the right support group and the right people by my side. And and, pushing me when I need to be pushed and encouraging me to keep going forward. And then I also tell people, you know what, you can't always control a situation. I think you're a great case of that, but you can always control your attitude. And at the end of the day, my situation doesn't change, but when I wake up in the morning and I get out of my bed, I jump in my wheelchair, I get my arm off the charger because it's on a charger every night. It's like a cell phone. And I go and I have coffee. My wife and my daughter and my son come down, and, we all have our days. And then I go about my day like it's just a normal day. And I think not seeing myself as having a disability, but just living life like normal has really helped, make me successful, in the world I live in now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, your story is just remarkable. Just, rehearing, hearing it from you personally. I can't even imagine what you went through, what you've learned and now have overcome. What you're doing in your life now it's amazing. So
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I just, after Todd and I came to visit me, and I realized I wasn't alone in that. And I can't, there's other people that have to suffer through the same, thing as me. And I started meeting people in their rooms. Like that was kind of a big deal to the hospital because they'd say, "Hey, Travis, you're very upbeat." I was like one of the older guys, even at 25 years old. Like I was the old guy at the end, injured at the hospital and the high ranking sergeant compared to the privates that get hit. And they were like, because of HIPAA, and all the rules, they're like, "Hey, we got a guy upstairs. We can't tell you his name or what room he's in, but we can tell you he's not in 40. If we can tell you he's not in 42. But if you can find him, that'd be great." And that turned into, "Hey, we have like, Private Johnson he's missing 2 legs below the knee. He's pretty down. Can you go talk with him and his wife and his mom's in the room?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." And then I turned that into like a welcoming party where no matter what part of recovery you were in, if you were on in a wheelchair, on short legs, on tall legs, we would go once or twice a week. And we'd walk through the ward and we'd meet everybody coming in. 2012 was a pretty bad year for the wars, for injuries. And we'd go meet everybody and like be that welcoming, like, "Hey, you're going to be fine," and tell them all the secrets of like, you're not a bad person. God doesn't hate you. Nothing that you can think about right now is going to explain why this happened. And no matter what you do, you can't go back in time, but you're in the best place for you. The same pep talk basically that Todd gave me. And I think there was strength in that and strength in numbers of healing. I didn't do any mental counseling. Not say that's a bad thing. Mental health is a big deal. People need to check it out. I just personally, I think I got all my counseling through all the group, things that I did with people and stuff like that. So anyway, I do ramble. I apologize.
No, it's okay. You've honestly answered some of the questions that I have even asked. So I don't even need to ask. So there you go.
I ruined everything. I'm
sorry.
No,
it's all good. It's all good. No. It's amazing. So what tips or tricks would you suggest or advise others that are amputees that have helped you or that help you on a daily basis with daily tasks?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just kind of, I go about my day and do everything I want to do. What the tips I have is don't focus on what you can't do. And, a lot of people get stuck with like, "Well, I can't do that." And it's like, well, there's always a way to figure it out. It takes me a little bit longer in the morning to get ready. I got to put my legs on, then my pants. So there's that whole chestnut, but it's just a couple extra steps. I'm sorry I'm dressed this way because after this, I'm actually heading down to the gym. I set a gym up at Craig's house in the garage. I haven't built my barn yet at my house. Then I got to go film some stuff. And I think it's just important to focus on what you can do and focus on what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And don't let anything really get in your way because, you can live in your mind so much where it's like, "Well, geez, I can't do that." Or right. "I'm not sure I'll ever figure out how to get that done." And, you can't let those thoughts creep in. I think it's all like everybody asks me, and maybe this will help sum up what I'm trying to say is everybody says, "What was the hardest part of your injury? Like, what was like the worst thing for you?" Mm-hmm. And it's a mental aspect. It was always the mental aspect of, "This is my life. Like, why is this my life?" Or "How can I be a husband and a father?" Or "How am I going to be able to drive again?" And the truth is, no matter how many times you try to game it out in your head, just go for it because I'm fortunate to run a big nonprofit. I'm fortunate to own multiple businesses. I'm actually going to do a video today because I'm starting a whiskey bar, which I'm very excited. You should come check it out. It's going to be awesome this summer. As long as COVID stuff keeps on track of like getting out of here. I'm starting a whiskey bar, and I own a few other businesses. And, I know it sounds, really cliche, but the sky is the limit. Once you get past the fact that you have a difference and just find out how to cope and deal with it. I got told at the hospital by one gentleman who was missing both legs. He was kind of in a bad spot, and angry about the whole situation. And he told me I was in the Everything's Great Club. And I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, you have no arms and legs, but you act like everything's so great. And I said, well, does that make you mad? He goes, well, it's annoying. He said, because how can you act like that? And I said, well, I have 50 years left at least, I would hope. And I'd rather be in the Everything's Great Club than miserable and bitter and not get over it, because there's 50 years left that you have, I'm sure, at least. And if you're in that mindset for the next 50 years, it's going to be pretty awful. And I tell you what, that hit him like a ton of bricks. And, sometimes it's all just mindset and getting over or accepting and just pushing past stuff.
Absolutely. So you wrote the book, Tough as They Come. What is your message that you want to get across? Well,
I think, when I go and I do my motivational speaking at different events and stuff, it's all about resilience, right? Resiliency. And I think I wrote the book because people are fascinated by my story, right? People kind of love the carnage of stuff that happens in the worst way possible, but they're also interested and they want to know, what happened to change my mind around, because some people will get mad or upset about the smallest things and not realize why they can't get over it. And then they need someone like you or myself to sit there and go, oh, wow, yeah, don't sweat the small stuff. So I wrote the book, told the story, and it was all about, the injury and what happened. And I think a lot of people that go through challenges in life pick my book up and they read it and they get something out of it, knowing that they can push forward. Like this one gentleman I know, his name's Ben. He was stuck on a huge satellite tower, and a big storm came in. He got hit by lightning, and he only had one arm. He's paralyzed in one arm to climb down. He's like, this is how I die. And he said he referred back to my story to live, which is insane to me. And then he's out working for the fire department, and he's cutting trees down, and a tree he didn't see coming lands and crushes him. Not crushes him, kills him, but crushes his pelvis is broke, his ribs or his lungs are punctured and deflated. Or collapsed, a bunch of other stuff. And again, he was laying on the ground, having blood soak into his lungs. And this happened 3 weeks ago. And he's sitting there going, well, all right, just remain calm. And he tells me when he's recovering, I talked to him yesterday, he's in a recovery. He won't be able to start walking again until February. He goes, the whole time, man, I'm just like, you inspire me, Travis. Like, you got through an awful time. And I'm like, Ben, you should write a book about, having literally 9 lives, because I don't understand how the stuff keeps happening to you. But, But I guess that's what I hope to get out of it. It's not about me, or look at my story and how awesome it is. It's more about, hey, look, bad things happen to good people. You got to push forward. And even my author's note tells people, I don't think my problems outweigh anybody else's. If we all have somebody that's either going through something, or we know somebody that is going through something. And if they are, and they need a little inspiration or hope or encouragement, hit my website up or hit my Instagram up and watch videos, look at my book, my documentary, whatever. And understand that, hey, you can keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm with you on all of that. So you started the Travis Mills Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about the foundation, and then also what can a veteran and their family expect when they come to a retreat?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the plugs here. You're doing phenomenal. Let me just lob the softballs at me. So the foundation, the Travis Mills Foundation, was created to bring families together and let them know, hey, they're not alone. You can get through anything that you face, and you can do things adaptively with your family. I learned in my recovery process how to downhill mountain bike in Colorado, how to kayak and canoe and whitewater rafting, horseback riding, snowboarding. Believe it or not, with having no arms and legs, I do snowboard. Not very good, but every now and then I get out there. And we wanted to bring those families together. So we have 8 families per week come out that have been through some kind of service-connected injury, whether it was overseas or while in service, maybe motorcycle accident. And we show them how to do things adaptively. And we bring, like I said, 8 families out. And our big mission is, don't live life on the sidelines. Be active in your community and your family, and understand you can keep pushing forward. And my slogan is never give up, never quit. And we try to instill that because we want children to see their parents succeed. We want the spouse of the injured service member to have a time to actually relax and have a place that is barrier free. You know, no hangups, no hiccups. Anybody with a paralyzation, amputation, spinal cord injury can get around everywhere on the property. And it started with just an idea, and now it's grown to something fairly large in size, but still very wholesome and connected. And then, we also expanded on that because I'm all about, the military is all about crawl, walk, run. So I like to do crawl, walk, run method. So start small, gain momentum and build up, but never build too fast to where you can't keep up with it. And we have a post-traumatic stress program now for anybody that suffers from post-traumatic stress. It's a very, very good course. And it's one of the top in the nation that we were able to partner with, Boulder Crest Foundation. It's called Warrior Path. And we're a host for that. So if anybody that's watching this or knows someone going through post-traumatic stress, service connected or first responder connected, I believe we did open it up to like firemen, nurses, officers, things like that. Hit us up at travismillsfoundation.org, on the email there. And then we have another virtual program where we help families. Maybe they're not with us at the retreat, but we help them with different things they want to do. Like one lady wanted to do a culinary class. We said, we'll take care of that, but you have to meet some goals. And we set goals for them, like community service based. And I'm always all about, I'll help anybody that's willing to help themselves as well. I think some people, a lot of people are like, they respect that and they understand it. Some people think I'm a jerk, but if you're not willing to get out there and get after it and help yourself, then I'm not the right guy for you, and I don't mean that in a rough or rude way. I just, I think you gotta be willing to better yourself as much as I want to help you better yourself. And at the end of the day, as much as my daughter inspired me and my wife inspired me and my parents, my in-laws and the nurses and doctors and all the staff and therapists at Walter Reed, it was internally my choice to get better. It was internally my choice that was, hey, let's knock the dust off. Let's get back on the horse and get after it. And you got to kind of have that fight in you, because if not, you're going to be stuck like my other guy that I talked to about, very upset and angry and can't get over the fact that this is the present, this is reality, and this is what's happening. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a ugly dose of truth, I guess, a harsh reality check. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know. Look, my daughter loves, she used to love Frozen. Now she's like into her computer and stuff. Kids get old.
She's older now.
Yeah. But, not everything can be, hey, if I only could have not put my backpack here, if I could go back in time and change this, or if I could not do this in life. I mean, you can't go back in time. So, trying to play it out in your head differently will probably drive you insane, or questioning why it happened rather than questioning like, okay, well, what's next?
Right. Yeah.
I say it so matter of factly. And I think that you as well, have dealt with things from the beginning where you just overcome every obstacle that you face and you found a way through. Whereas, you can get lost in the Friday Night Lights feel, right? Like, man, in high school, I was running touchdowns and hitting home runs and things like that. But at the end of the day, those are great memories for me, but it's not my current life. There's no touchdowns I'm going to be throwing or home runs I'm going to hit. Now it's focused on my family, taking care of my kids. And then after that, taking care of my businesses and, I consider the foundation one of the businesses, even though I don't take a dime from it. I'll never pay myself from it. It's all about just giving back.
I don't pay for myself from
it,
so I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just, spreading the good in the world and just overcoming whatever you have to overcome and understanding that, yes, this may not be ideal. It might not be what you want or wanted for your life. Sometimes that choice is taken from you, but it's about how you react to the situation and how you overcome, what's thrown at you. And I think that's just like the biggest thing for me. I didn't want to cash it in. I didn't want to say, well, I quit, I'm done. And I guess a lot of my strength did come from my daughter. My daughter and I learned how to walk together, which is kind of cool. A lot of dads can't say that. But when I was learning how to walk again, she was just learning how to walk. And, my son now, he doesn't think I'm different or weird. He knows I have robot legs. He'll make jokes like, you don't have any legs, Dad. And I'm like, I know. But I can still take him and we wrestle and we ride around my wheelchair, or, I'll take him to get ice cream and things like that. So, life's always gonna be what you make it. And And even though it seems like just yesterday I had arms and legs, it's not. And a blink of an eye is what, the time that's already elapsed feels like when you look back on it. But there's so much of the world left, and things to do. And that's one thing. My wife and I, we want to experience what we can. So we just bought a travel van. I don't know why we bought that, but whatever. And we're probably.
What does your wife do, if you don't mind me asking?
No, so she.
Mom.
Yeah, stay-at-home mom, but she also like accounting and finance
okay. All right.
For my my speaking business. I'm trying, when Dax is next year, he'll be in school, so I'm trying to transition her into my lodge and marina business as well, and also the whiskey bar I plan on starting. I'm really excited about that, and then I think we're going to build an event center in a couple of years.
You have so many great things on your radar. I mean, I'm so excited to just watch and see you grow and develop.
I talked to my literary agent. I think I'm gonna write another book, but it's gonna be more like about motivation and like getting through situations, and take like the top 10 things people basically worry about. I was gonna gear it more towards the military, for try to get the people getting out of the military. But I think what I'm gonna do is just overall, like, it'll be towards military or for the military, but also CEOs and also people that go through situations where they're like just a huge life change and what you might feel and how to get better. So I just started the conversation with my literary agent actually last week, and we were texting yesterday about it. He's all fired up. So we'll see if I write another book. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. But at the end of the day, is what it is.
You know what? Everything you're doing is going to be good, whether you think it or not. I mean, you're already an inspiration, as is to the world. So just keep at it. And your family obviously comes first. And, I know I can just, they're inspired by you. So just keep it what you're doing, because you're doing amazing things.